Hey everyone, John here. I've got something exciting to welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I am your host, John Espinosa. I am your host, John Espinosa, to the Leading Leaders podcast. Start today on the things that you want to change. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the new year. Start those today, and you are going to realize, even if it's messy, because that's our mantra here in Go Be Great community, go before you're ready, just do it messy, and don't miss 2 days in a row. And I promise you that is going to kickstart your new year. Things just seem to flow easier. It was easy to have a conversation. It was easy to be in a text thread and you ask something or you ask for permission, and it wasn't even like a second guess. I trust you. You got it. If you said you're going to do it, I trust that you will do it. That feeling is great. That's great to be a part of a team as we're building something bigger than ourselves, that we can all sit around the table, that we can all have a conversation, that we can all be thankful for today to be a part of, because we value each other. We allow others to share their thoughts and feelings without judgment. And in the end, we're working towards that bigger goal than just ourselves. If you're in burnout or on the verge, remember those three things. Take a step back, self-care, turn inwards, and then set those good boundaries. And you will slowly but surely, I promise, I believe in you, you will turn it around. And it may not happen overnight. It may not happen in a month. But eventually, they will become habits, and your mindset will start to shift. Remember, we need time as human beings to set new habits. So follow those three things for burnout, and I'm going to let you make the decision. Does growth come out of chaos for you, or do you let chaos come out of your growth opportunities and turns into burnout? Choose one. What's some advice that you can give people who are right there at the finish line, got a year or so to go? What would you say to them?
Just keep going, man. I mean, I want to circle back a little bit about even my experience, right? I had to put myself through school, full-time student, full-time work. I had very little time for social life, but I still managed to do it anyway, right? Maybe that's why I could have had better grades. But anyway, I think at the end of the day, the hard work, man, pays off. I mean, it may sound cliche now and everybody says it and all that stuff, but it's like, if you really put in the effort and you're committed and you have that vision, and that's the way I was. Like, when I decided to become an air traffic controller, first aviation was my passion. So at first I thought I was going to be an airplane mechanic. I was going to be around airplanes. That was my life. And that's great. Then my school became a, air traffic control training school. And I've always was that nerd, kind of sitting by the airport, monitoring the tower and everything else. So, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do that. And there were hurdles. There were a lot of hurdles. Don't get me wrong. There were times when I was like, man, is this really worth it? But just do not. And to your point, you set a goal, do it. Find a way to do it, right? Network with people that can help you do it. Sometimes we do need that little extra help. Sometimes we do need that mentor, right? That person that, maybe is in a leadership role. And then if you're inspiring to be a leader, look up to those other leaders. But the most important thing is look up to leaders that share your passion, that share your vision, that share your commitment, right? Because there may be some leaders out there that could be a little bit ruthless. Maybe they're not so people friendly. But they're up there, right? There are leaders. If they don't conform to your style, if they don't conform to the way you want to lead an organization, those are the people you just don't want to follow. Follow someone that you want to inspire to be.
One of the things that go along with that growth mindset is making sure that we don't change everything. We just tweak one or two things within our routine, and that's what helps us gain that momentum. So when you think about things that you need to continue doing, make sure that they are things that are working for you, but they're also building momentum. Because as we run out of motivation, we look for opportunities to continue that momentum. So the things that we continue, make sure that they're building momentum. I always coach and mentor folks to at least respond within 24 hours to let the individuals know that you've received the communication and you're working on it in a time that they can expect a return communication. Again, that expectation is set on when to respond in the time limit to respond in. So you can see through these examples that setting those expectations really lays the foundation for how the team is going to operate from a communication standpoint. So next time you catch yourself in that conversation, whether you're the victim, the persecutor, or the savior, be mindful of the fact that you need to validate your assumptions. You need to have those hard conversations. It's easy for us to go and complain about somebody else. The hard part is to go have that hard conversation with the individual that we have the disagreement with and truly understand, is this really a conflict of personalities? Is this a conflict of beliefs? Or is it just a simple assumption that we've made about each other and we haven't validated it? Hey everyone, John here. I wanted to jump on and quickly talk about my Kickstart the New Year Challenge. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you got a lot of irons in the fire and you're not really progressing, you're not getting anywhere, maybe you feel lost. I know I did. And over the past decade, I have been working on a coaching program to help myself, and now I want to give it to you. Head on over to thejohnespinosa.com, sign up. You're not going to want to miss it. You owe it to yourself to kickstart the new year. Get going now. Don't wait till January 1 when everybody else is going. Get ahead of the game. You owe it to yourself. For someone out there that really wants to open their mind and be creative, what advice could you give them?
Yeah, well, I think that's conditioned in all of us. I think that's where we go to with the creativity is that can you draw or not draw?
Yeah.
But it's not that. What creativity is, if you want to be creative, you really have to ask yourself, do you want to do that thing that's inside of you? And then there's something inside of you. And if there's a lot of people that are completely comfortable, they're never going to go hunting for creativity. They're never going to go hunting, but that's not your listener. If somebody's like, what do I have to do? I'll give you three things. You ask for one thing, I'll give you three things. If you do these three things, you will find a different version of yourself in 2 or 3 weeks. And maybe sooner than that. You have to commit to one thing, removing the layers of conditioning. Just say, and you don't even have to, there's no right or wrong. You know what? Let me tell you this. This is what I'm going to tell you. There is no right or wrong. Okay? So if you want to go do something, go do it. If you don't go do it. If you want to be the best rock collector, river stone collector, under 3 ounces, I don't even know, I'm just making this up, under 3 ounces in the world, then do that. There is no right or wrong. And when we're talking about creativity, because there's a difference in creativity and commercialism and selling. Those are two different things. So if we're talking about, I want to be creative, I want to be playful again, then you have to commit to removing creativity. You got to commit to something. And then you have to be willing to say no. You got to be willing to say no to all the other stuff. And actually, if you just start saying no to all the other stuff, you're going to see opportunities and doors open up, and you're going to be able to allow yourself to be creative. To say just one thing to that person, I'd say ask this. Hey, you know what? I'm going all around, but let me settle on this. I told you I got a lot of stuff. I could go for 5 hours. Ask yourself if you want to be creative, and then listen to yourself and turn everything off and sit with yourself in a room for as long as it takes. And if you'll find yourself and you'll find the answers, and then now you're on a quest. And I would say next, go find something that makes you nervous and go do that. That's what I would say.
So today, start building your legacy. Don't think of the end in mind. Get 1% better every single day, and take a pause, stop and reflect, and then sustain that momentum. And I promise you, whenever you get to the end of whatever you're doing, people will show up and they will thank you for being who you were always meant to be. And that's all we can ask. So those 3 tips, let's say them again because they're important. Find a coach. Again, it doesn't have to be a paid coach. I mentioned that all these things were free to a point. I did spend some money on coaching because it's important. That important, but I also had a coach that was paid through my organization. And I know a lot of companies out there have coaches that are certified that they pay for that service. So look it up. Number 2, ask for feedback and be open to the feedback. Don't be defensive. And number 3, be a little selfish. I'm not asking you to be totally selfish. Be a little selfish. Spend some time working on yourself, and I promise you it's going to pay dividends in other areas of your life, to the point where that little time that you spend on yourself, nobody will even care because you are showing up a better leader, and therefore you're creating a community around you that is growing. And when everybody is growing, when we're all helping each other, there's nothing better. Is that I create massive separation from where I am now to where I am going. And when the new year hits, I've already changed, I've already implemented, I've already began the process. So I am that much farther ahead when everybody waits till January 1. So my top 3 from the bottom up: get ahead of emerging technology. Figure out what your particular field, what is out there, what is coming. Go to trade shows, go to conferences, podcasts, research, ChatGPT, remote work and hybridized work. Just because your business may not be hybridized or remote doesn't mean that you interact with other businesses out there that may be fully remote or hybridized component. You got to learn both. As a leader, as the owner of a business, going to college, integrating into the workforce, learn how to work in a virtual or hybridized environment. And then number 1, navigating change. Learn how to communicate change, learn how to lead through change. It is going to be the most important challenge as we go into 2025 that you leaders are going to face. I hope it'll be great.